All right. Another third down Thursday. Let's go.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm hanging in there, MJ. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I am working a lot because I don't know when my college is going to get sent home. So I'm working as much as I can because when I get sent home to Dallas, I'm not going to have a job. So
So you're assuming that you're going to be sent home?
At some point, yes. Granted, so we had our first week test results. We only had 9 positives on the entire campus, which was very good for 1 week. But then this week, we've had our first dorm floor that had to be quarantined on campus. Been a lot more parties the last couple days, so we seem to be deteriorating a little bit. I don't know how long we're going to last. However, Bradley gets their grant money on September 11th. So once they have their grant money, that's all they need to make the majority of their money for the year.
Yeah, exactly. So now after that, it's like, bye.
Exactly. So after that, it'll be as much as they want to keep us. I mean, they make more money, granted, when we're all here. But, once they get their big boy grant money, that's pretty much all they need. So
big boy grant money. So basically, though, let's get back to a different topic here.
Yes.
I want to steer it to the way you were saying that there were parties going on.
Yes.
Of course there were. You know why? Because college kids are going to
party.
Weird,
right?
Kids. Exactly.
And I'm not surprised. Like, to be clear, I'm not surprised. But I will say, Bradley's done a very good job. They've already suspended a couple Greek chapters because they've hosted parties. So I mean, I'm proud of them. They've done a good job kind of cracking down on this right away. So.
Well, the main thing is to our listeners, MJ, are you okay?
Yes, I am okay. I am doing good.
You're my boy, dude. You're my boy. You're my boy.
I have my 3 or 4 friends that I hang out with, and other than that, I really don't see anyone. So,
fair.
We're doing good. Let's see. What do we want to talk about first? We want to talk about those games last night?
I mean, if we want to jump in right away, I'm totally okay with that. But before we do, guys, welcome to another rendition of Third Down Thursday with MJ and myself, Coach Bruce.
Welcome.
Blessed to be, talking to you guys again on a Thursday, a great day. Beautiful day, by the way. Beautiful weather. That's about it. So if you want to jump right in, we can, man. Let's go. What game we want to talk about first, kid?
I mean, we'll go chronologically. The Bucks Heat game. So I watched the last couple minutes, and the reason so you have that foul called for Jimmy Butler at the end of the game, which was only called because 6 seconds earlier they had called the same foul in the same spot for Chris Middleton. So my question to you is, Bruce, you're a basketball coach. You're much more experienced in the game than I am. Do you subscribe to the idea that in the last 30 seconds minute, which you can also kind of apply to the OKC game, do you just kind of let them play? Like, yes. What is the line that you draw where you actually get involved as a referee?
Always, in my opinion, if it's an egregious thing, if it's a blatant hack, then yes, you call it. But those last 2 fouls, and before we were even on, we talked about it a little bit. That was absolutely atrocious. It was garbage. I didn't like it. You don't end an NBA playoff game. The best was the tweets from the NBA players that afterwards. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did not. I saw Joel Embiid's. That was it.
Some of these guys, it shouldn't have been called. They complained about it. They thought it was garbage. It was brutal. It was brutal. I wish I could. I should have had one that was up because it's honestly it's absolutely garbage. It was terrible. But the NBA players thought it was a joke. It was a farce.
Yeah.
And as a to be honest with you, as somebody that loves basketball, enjoys basketball, and I actually think that NBA basketball this year in the bubble has been awesome.
It's been very good basketball.
It's been super entertaining.
Yeah.
And you can't have a second round NBA basketball game, playoff game, I should say, end like that. I think that's crap. Let the players have an opportunity to make a ridiculous shot to. Oh, this is one of the best bubble plays ever or whatever, because hopefully, knock on wood, we won't ever have to experience a bubble ever again. But let them play. Let the players decide the game, not the referees.
So before we move on to the other game, we talked about this already, and I just want to talk about it publicly. If the Bucks lose this series,
MJ, you went mute.
What? I'm right here. Bruce, what?
We're having some technical difficulties. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? That's weird.
Uh-oh. Well, we're going to get that fixed. We'll let MJ have some fun there and and fix his newly set up mic setup that he has, because he had some sound issues last week because it was too quiet. Now it's really too quiet. But anyway, so one of the things that I actually wanted to talk to MJ about, talk to you guys about, was with one of my former basketball players. I actually have a little a friendly wager with him, and one of the things we're talking about is if the Milwaukee Bucks win, he has to run a mile on a track, and if the Miami Heat win, then I have to buy him a steak dinner. And don't get me wrong, I didn't make this bet thinking that, I hate the Miami Heat, they're terrible, this, that, and the other. I actually really like the Miami Heat. I like the way they play. I think they have a deeper team as a whole. But that said, I just did it because I enjoy a friendly, competitive type thing. MJ, how you doing, man?
Can you hear me now?
He's back, guys. He's back.
Look at that. It's a Christmas miracle. The whole second mic idea, charging the second mic apparently isn't.
Quiet again. Can't hear you very well. I can hear you, but I can't hear you.
We're gonna work on this.
He's still getting after it, guys. Technical difficulties on a live stream. It does happen.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's very quiet.
Interesting. I don't know. Is it louder when I get closer? No? It's not louder? Okay, well.
Now MJ's hosting a smooth jazz station, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Smooth Jazz with MJ Hurley. Okay, Bruce, you're going to keep talking because I now need to see if people can hear you. So, will Giannis leave the Bucks if they lose this series?
Oh, no, you're going to get on this topic.
Yes, I am. Go. I will give my thoughts in a second, but you go.
I really haven't had an opportunity to do a lot of research on this topic. However, before the show ended up starting, MJ and I had a conversation about will Giannis go out to Golden State? No. He's not going to go to Golden State. I find him as too competitive. I find him as a guy that's I'm not going to join. He's not Kevin Garnett. Or Kevin Durant. He is not a Kevin Durant. He's not going to go out of his way to join a team. Like, you can't beat him, join him type mentality. He's not like that. He's either staying in Milwaukee or he's going to go to the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, my word. This is really going well.
No, he's not going to go to the Bulls.
Things are falling down.
I think he's going to stay in Milwaukee. I think if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say he's 65% going to stay in Milwaukee.
So, let me ask you this. Basically a deal where it's Klay Thompson for Giannis. Who says no?
I would say no.
If the Buck, no, let me put it this way.
Okay, so here, better question. If you're building a team, who would you rather build a team around, Giannis or Klay Thompson?
So if the Bucks already know he's leaving,
hold on. Answer that question first.
Yes, I would rather build around Giannis.
Exactly.
Right.
So that said, I would pay if he wants to stay.
Yes.
I would throw everything in the kitchen sink at his ass.
Well, they've already said they're going to. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, will Giannis accept it? And right now, if they lose in the second round to the Heat, whose best player is significantly worse than Giannis, if I'm him, I don't want to stay.
Cap space. If the Bucks have the cap space to sign somebody of significance, because who they signed this past summer, they re-signed Middleton, right?
Yeah. So that's with Giannis. That's two max deals. And
Correct.
Brook Lopez is making a decent amount of money. Eric Bledsoe is making a decent amount of money. They do not have a third max slot in there.
No.
That's the problem. Because Bledsoe is making about 18. Brook Lopez is making about 10. Chris Middleton is making about, I want to say, 27. And then Giannis is going to be making the Supermax, which will be around 40 and will be 50 by the time his contract is up.
So here, right now, according to Basketball Reference,
Okay.
Giannis Giannis, Chris Middleton's actually making more money than Giannis is right now.
Yeah, because Giannis is still on his original extension.
Correct. Wow. Yeah, so Chris Middleton's making, this year he's making $30 million. By the end of Chris Middleton's contract, and while...
Probably be at like 36?
No, 40.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't agree with that contract, but there might be a team option to where he can say bye. Or they can say bye to him.
He probably has a team option in his last year, but...
Right. But, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm actually kind of interested in hearing, off the topic of him actually resigning. I'm interested in what Jay Williams said about him. About how he was, in the NBA regular season, he is a 1A guy, and then in the playoffs, he's a 1B guy.
I agree. He's not built for the playoffs.
I think it's interesting because I think he would be built for the playoffs if he had another guy around him better, and I'm going to say this, better than Chris Middleton.
And you know who that would be, Bruce? You know who that would be?
What are you going to say, Steph Curry?
Steph Curry.
Oh, my God. Stop being a fanboy.
Bruce, the man is one of the most talented basketball players of all time. You want to pair...
He's not, but I love the fact that you immediately think that he's gonna go to the Warriors because you love the Warriors.
Let me just put it this way: the last time that there was a superstar of Giannis's talent who was unhappy with the way his team was performing in the playoffs, nobody expected it. Where did he go? Golden State.
My other argument to that, though, was he was also playing with a alpha player.
Yeah.
Who was very much a guy who was a me-first guy. Whereas the team he's... And not saying anything about the Warriors, because I actually think that I love their brand of basketball.
Yeah.
I do. However, the team he's playing for right now in Milwaukee, I don't think that there's a guy on that team that's a me-first guy. Whereas with the situation that you're comparing it to... I think Russell Westbrook was a me-first guy.
Right.
So that's and I think that played a huge factor in Durant leaving to go to the Warriors. But I digress.
So here's the other thing. Giannis let's put it this way. Giannis doesn't have a no-trade clause. If he's told the Bucks, I'm not coming back, and then they said, we're going to trade you to Golden State, he wouldn't say no. He's not going
to... agree with that, and I'm definitely not disagreeing with you on it. I just don't necessarily think that... I don't know, I really don't think that he's going to leave. However, looking at that roster... I'm talking about Milwaukee's roster.
Yeah.
First of all, they're actually fairly, old.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Kyle Korver's 39 now.
Yep. George Hill's probably 36.
34.
Okay. Yeah.
Lopez is 32. I mean, Eric Bledsoe, wow, talk about old.
Oh.
Eric Bledsoe is 30.
Yeah.
So,
DiVincenzo...
Chris Middleton turns 30 next year.
Yeah, DiVincenzo is the only really young guy on that team.
Yep, 23. Him and DJ Wilson.
Yeah. So... I don't know, looking at it just from a strategical perspective, if I'm the Bucks, I'm terrified that he leaves and I get nothing for him.
Right.
So, obviously, you want him to stay, but we rarely see a superstar stay when there's no guarantee of other talent around him. If I'm the Bucks, the only way, in my opinion, that I get Giannis to stay is Chris Middleton walks out that door and he gets traded.
That'll be tough to trade that contract.
You could find somebody desperate enough. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't. That's a really difficult contract.
You know who would take that contract? The Phoenix Suns. They would take that contract. They would be dumb enough to do that.
What's interesting though, actually, oh my gosh. So side note, I'm posting that we're live right now, and I'm like, we love.
No, but okay. I mean, any last thoughts on that? Because I've beaten that horse enough. I really do think it would make sense I don't know.
I don't know, man. Actually, well, no. What I wanted to do was look at that a little bit more. See, this is what happens when we wing stuff. Like, I want to actually. This is a fairly interesting conversation, but I've done absolutely zero research to back anything that I'm talking about. So I'm sure you've talked about it during the course of your like few thousand podcasts and stuff.
I wrote an article on it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
my proposed deal was like basically, so there are a couple ways you can swing this, right? You can send Klay Thompson, or you can send either Draymond and a couple guys and a bunch of draft picks, or Andrew Wiggins. All three of those have the salaries to match Giannis because he's not making that much right now. The idea is you have to do that before he signs his extension. Otherwise, it creates salary cap issues for both teams.
So you know what I wouldn't mind seeing happen. The Suns would have to send a lot of stuff that way, though, including draft picks. But you send like DeAndre Ayton and
Kelly Oubre,
Bridges, everything in the kitchen sink.
Honestly,
I would pay money. Hold on, I would pay money to watch Devin Booker play with Giannis. That combination. Okay, see. Now
so what you want to send Giannis to the Suns?
You're swaying me on that thought because, like, if you okay, hold on. No, think about this though. I'm not even saying that it's actually going to happen. But
yeah.
I'm thinking about from a pure basketball fan perspective. To see Giannis play with Devin Booker and Ricky Rubio, that would actually be pretty freaking awesome. That'd be some entertaining basketball, especially with how Devin Booker ended this season in the bubble.
What about like Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, DJ Wilson, and a draft pick for Devin Booker?
I don't know, put it on the ESPN trade machine and see if it works.
That's a lot of work. No, but honestly, Devin Booker can't be happy.
No, but you know what he's happy about? The fact that he's in Arizona and is not getting super taxed.
True.
That's what you're seeing from a lot of NBA players and all professional athletes.
Why do you think Jimmy Butler went to Miami?
Exactly. Why do you think anybody goes to Miami?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got a very good organization there, but...
Well, they have stability with Pat Riley.
Right. But...
Anyway, so here,
I don't know.
I know we said we're going to steer off the topic, so if you don't mind, we'll steer off the topic. I want your opinion as a Packer fan.
Yes.
We're dropping this bomb right here. Chicago Bears picking their quarterback. Just this week, CBS did was it CBS? Yeah. Did a simulation.
Ridiculous.
A Madden simulation. And obviously Nick Foolsgold ended up winning the
league MVP.
Hold on. Nick Foolsgold ended up winning the quarterback battle according to this Madden simulation. And they had the Madden simulation. Not only did the Chicago Bears win the Super Bowl, but Nick Foolsgold won the league MVP, throwing 40-some touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. MJ, thoughts?
Number one, that's how you know Madden's broken. That Nick Foles... Okay, if you just look at it from, like, a Madden perspective, right? The Bears don't have the weapons to make that happen in Madden. If you're looking at ratings, Nick Foles doesn't have the ratings to make that happen. I could see...
They can get better.
What? What?
You know Madden progresses.
Madden progresses, like, in 3 seasons, not in 1 season. Nick Foles does...
It's every week when the Madden update comes, the roster updates come out, dude.
Yeah, but Nick Foles isn't going to go from, like, at best an 81 to a mid-90s.
It's way lower than that. Actually, he's got a worse rating than Trubisky in the game right now.
Okay, well, that just hurts my heart. In terms of who should be the starting quarterback, I still think it should be Nick Foles because we're all aware, Bruce. You call him Fool's Gold. We get the comparison there. So I was on a podcast this week, and I want to propose this to you. If you were, I proposed this to a Vikings fan. I'm going to propose this to you as a Bears fan. If and obviously there would be money issues, and there would have to be some draft picks involved. But just in terms of this,
if you're saying Kirk Cousins, no.
You don't want Kirk Cousins?
I can't believe I read into what you're going to ask. No.
So, but hear me out. Hear me out. Kirk Cousins, in terms of overall career success, is better than Nick Foles. Yes?
I'll agree with that.
Okay. I think we can all agree what the Bears need is a game manager, right? And that's the problem with Mitch Trubisky. He doesn't know how to manage a game. He gets too much happy feet. He throws the ball away too much. He throws too many interceptions for what the Bears need. Kirk Cousins, granted, can't win a big game. However, we've seen the success he's had the ability to have on a team with a good defense. Mm-hmm. The problem Minnesota has had is they get outscored in big games. Mitchell Trubisky, compared to Kirk Cousins, has more big play ability. Yes? Okay. So looking at it from both perspectives, the Vikings get their quarterback, who in a dynamic offense with Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, and Adam Thielen, can do a lot more than Kirk Cousins can. Then the Bears get an upgraded version of Nick Foles. And then they can run the same offense throughout the year. Even if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, Nick Foles can take over right away. You don't have to drastically change your game plan. Thoughts?
You're done?
Yeah.
Okay, so responding to that, I'm still going to say no. As a Chicago Bears fan that's absolutely sick and tired of the thought process of we need a guy that's okay. I'm tired of that thought process. And that's all I've had. I've been a Bears fan my whole life.
Yeah.
And all I've seen, the best quarterback I've seen in a Chicago Bears uniform, there's two quarterbacks I've seen that I absolutely thought was, like, I loved. Two. That's it. It was, can you guess it? No, probably not.
Jay Cutler.
I loved it. I love Jay Cutler. Yes, Jay Cutler. Even though everyone hated him, but whatever.
And Rex Grossman.
Hell no. Jay Cutler and Eric Kramer. Those are the two quarterbacks I've seen in my lifetime that I've actually, to an extent, enjoyed watching. Well, yes, Jay Cutler, there was some frustrating things, but I also thought that there were some other outside things going on with that team, and not outside as in outside the locker room, off the field, but like outside as in like you had Devin Hester as your number one receiver, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's bad. That's worse than the Packers.
Right. So that I digress on that. But anyway, no, I'm just tired of the fact of like, let's get a game manager, let's get a guy, this, that, and the other. I'd rather us. I say us as in the Bears.
Yeah.
Stick with Trubisky, Truth Bisky as I call him. Let's stay with Truth Bisky, and if he doesn't work out, you didn't accept you didn't extend his contract, so he's gone. He'll be gone. So it is what it is. I don't care about that. And you're gonna end up finding a team that's gonna say like, oh, I can fix him. Whatever. Let them fix him. Nick Fool's gold. I'm sorry. I like I said, fool's gold. I think he's fool's gold. I mean, honestly, please. I mean, I'm a Bears fan. Prove me wrong. I'm cool with it. Honestly, if you start doing well, I'm gonna be like, I'm the biggest freaking Nick Foles fan. Nick Foles fan ever. I'm a fool. That's it. But that's the like honest to God truth. I'll be like, oh, I love Nick Foles. I thought he was great. But yeah, no, I'll still admit, like, yes, I thought Trubisky is going to be better. Truth Bisky. But, yeah, no, the whole Kirk Cousins, like, comment, no, hell no.
I don't know. So the podcast I was on, it was one representative from each NFC North team, and they asked the question, propose an in-the-division trade. And that was the first thing that popped in my head.
No. The one thing that I actually, when we talked about this in our pre-show, my mindset's like sports. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
In our pre-show is we talked about Cam Newton.
Yes.
That actually annoys me and angers me more than anything else that the Bears have done. That was okay. So I described it to you as this: Cam Newton was the most Chicago Bear thing that. Like that shows the Chicago Bears right there. Okay,
It's true.
I'm gonna rant for 1 second. The Chicago Bears team, that stuff right there. The fact that you're gonna use a pandemic as an excuse. You're gonna use a not knowing the system as an excuse. You're gonna use not being able to bring him into your facility as an excuse. But he was good enough for the New England Patriots.
He was good enough for Bill Belichick.
Exactly. And not only that, but they got it for super freaking cheap. Super cheap.
He's less than Trubisky on his rookie contract.
Thank you. The most Chicago Bear thing you just did. Again. And Ryan Pace is supposed to be a guy that's supposed to be cutting edge into all these analytics and this, that, and the other. He's a young guy. He's able to make reads and understand things. You just did a Chicago Bears thing. You just did, what was his name? The previous manager of the freaking team. Anyway, but it's just, I'm tired of it. It's frustrating as a Bears fan. Shut up.
So I'll make you feel a little bit better. So I've been talking to some of the Packers reporters, just kind of like checking in on how the team's doing, And the thing I've been hearing is, so Marquez Valdez-Scantling is doing very well, but they say that every camp, so I don't really buy that yet until I actually see him on the field. The one thing I've been hearing is there's frustration with Aaron Rodgers and the receivers who are not named Devontae Adams.
Well, yeah, because
basically, it appears, trying to phrase this in a kind of neutral way, that
you have to.
Yeah, kind of. That there's the disconnect. There's it appears that the lack of training camp and the lack of preseason is catching up to some of the younger receivers, and they have not taken the steps that Rodgers believed they would this season.
Well said. You know what that means? Aaron Rodgers to the Chicago Bears.
I will say, so the other thing on the Packers note is fans specifically have been getting very upset while reading the reports coming out of training camp about how Jordan Love is doing so far. And the thing that pisses me off, so far, including today, I believe he's had 13 practices with the team. He had virtual OTAs, he had virtual minicamp, no preseason games. So the kid's coming out of college. He had 3 years of experience in college. He played in high school, whatever. I think the biggest thing is you're looking at, you're comparing him to Aaron Rodgers when you're watching him in camp. Because he's the quarterback, right? So anything he does is not going to look as good as Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers can fling the ball 50 yards downfield on a dime without even looking like he's breaking a sweat.
He's also a Hall of Famer.
Right. So when you're comparing a first-year quarterback who has not had a regular offseason to a Hall of Famer, it's kind of ridiculous. And Aaron Rodgers didn't even look good until 2009. He got drafted in 2005. He looked really bad. People in 2008 wanted the Packers to draft another quarterback because they saw Brett Favre leaving and didn't want Aaron Rodgers taking over. So
can I get you on record saying Packer fans are stupid?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
Well, I will rephrase. Packers fans are spoiled. And that causes some stupidity.
As a Bears fan, 100%. You guys had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row.
Back to back.
That is not fair.
And I will be 100% honest. I do not expect it to happen a third time, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what's funny? If Aaron Rodgers was not in the NFC North division, the best quarterback in that division would be on the Lions.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford, 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
A little bit.
But something else I want to mention is the Chicago White Sox are better than the Cubs.
Oh, we're going out where that was a huge turn. So when is our guest gonna come on?
like 2 minutes. So but I'm sure he talks about the Rangers, so I'm sure he'd be happy to talk about the White Sox.
That's true. Actually, we gotta tell him about the
your fanboy.
My fanboy. I'm a huge fanboy. But no. Anyway,
you're just jealous of him because of the hair.
Actually, speaking of, I gotta shave it tonight. After our show, I gotta shave this bad boy. It's pretty bad. See, I have a little island right here. This is how you know I'm rich, when I have a little island right here.
Oh, Bruce has his own island.
Private island right there.
Wow.
All right, but no, the White Sox are awesome, honestly, and I'm not going to be upset about it.
Really?
Downstairs at my house, I have the Cubs game on. I'll have like NBA playoffs on.
Yeah.
And on the other TV, I'll have the White Sox on.
Yeah.
You know why? They're an exciting young team that has the last time I checked, the largest run differential in the AL. Putting just absolute beatdowns on teams.
Do they really have the largest run differential?
Yeah. Last I saw it was like 2 days ago, I think.
Interesting.
But the only thing that is going to, in my opinion, hurt that team is you don't have the starting staff to really make sure to go far in the Major League Baseball playoffs. And that's just my opinion. I mean, there's a lot smarter people out there that'll know more. But that lineup though is ridiculous. That lineup is, I'm jealous of it. I really am.
Yeah.
I am jealous of it. However, with the Cubs, it's a fall from grace, not a fall from grace, but a fall down to earth with their pitching staff. Yu Darvish is the only person that's recorded a win in the last their starting staff that's recorded a win in the last 10 games or something like that. I read, aside from Kyle Hendricks winning yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's rough.
And Kyle Hendricks has hit a little bit of a snag. His last 3 starts he's lost. He posted an ERA above 3.5, 4. So yeah, it's been they've struggled a little bit. Their bullpen is still garbage. I think that Kimbrel was a mistake. I'm just gonna say it now. Kimbrel was a mistake. Dude throws 98 miles an hour, has a wicked slider, but I don't know if he has a towel. I don't know what's going on with him.
He does.
And I totally think part of it's between his ears too.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you know what though? Like if Baez, if Contreras, and Bryant, if they're able to hit their average on the back of a baseball card, they'll be okay. Because I think right now Baez is sitting 190. I think Contreras is sitting 215 or something like that, 220.
Yeah.
And I think Chris Bryant's sitting 180. So if you get those guys going, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to let our friend in. Hopefully.
There it is, found it.
There we go.
He's a very nice picture there.
That's more professional than any picture I've got.
I have a decent one, but his is alright. It's way better than our actual live faces right now.
That's true.
Anything's better than this mug.
Can you hear us, Saad?
Yeah, I got you. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Hanging in there, Saad. Hanging in there. Thank you so much for participating and coming on our show, though. It's much appreciated, man.
Yeah, no problem. And by the way, it's Saad.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Let's see. Bruce, do you want to start with your fanboy addiction?
Oh, okay. All right, so I have a huge, obviously, if you could introduce yourself real quick to our audience, though, and let them know, before I do so, let them know who you cover, the area that you cover.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Well, right now, you want me?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so, I cover, I'm general assignment writer for The Athletic, and so I cover really all 4 sports here in the DFW Metroplex. With the season that the Rangers are having, I haven't been doing too much there. I think one writer is kind of enough to cover all all the mess that's going on there. But I do cover the Cowboys, Mavericks, and Stars pretty closely, and so.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the three teams.
So, as MJ alluded to, I have a unhealthy obsession. I'm here in Chicago, just so that you understand this. I have an unhealthy obsession.
The fan cave.
I'm sorry?
I see the fan cave.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's not bad. I have a decent setup. I have my refrigerator with beers ready to go over there. I got my 55, and I have 232s on the wall. So it's not bad. It's okay. But yeah, no. So what I was saying though was I have an unhealthy obsession with watching Luka Doncic play. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that man's approach to the game of basketball, and you could just tell that he has a very good understanding of the game.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely majestic. It's it's really fun watching, and I think what happens is some people see it, and if you're not, and if you watch him every single night, I've watched every single game that he's played, obviously in the NBA. You kind of sometimes lose sight of just how special it is and how special he is at the age that he's doing these things. And he's only 21 years old, and the stuff that he's doing, and the crazy thing is that like a good example is the playoff game where in overtime where he hit the shot to beat the Clippers. That shot was so big and was so it took all the headlines and everything. Lost in the fact is the fact that he scored 43 points, which is the most he's ever scored in a basketball game in his life, whether you take EuroLeague, NBA,
Really?
no matter what. So that was actually his career high. But it got basically no talk because the shot was so good. Sometimes his shots get all the love, but honestly, to me, the best part about watching him play is his passing ability. It is Patrick Mahomes like on a basketball court. Simply spectacular.
So what do you think is going to be the impact of Luka Doncic in the next couple of years? And what I mean by that is we've seen LeBron James throughout his career, he draws superstars. So how long is it going to take for Luka Doncic? And granted, Kristaps Porzingis is a very good player, but he seems to have an issue staying healthy. I don't know if long-term he's the best guy to pair with Doncic. So how long is it going to take for Doncic to start drawing stars to Dallas?
That's a good question, and the thing is a lot of people like to compare that to Dirk wasn't able to do it in Dirk's prime, even when he was really good. The difference is Luka has a very modern NBA player swag to him. Dirk was very low key. He was very Tim Duncan like, and so. It was a whole different vibe, and so I think Luka will attract a lot of players, and he'll especially now that players have seen him on the big stage. You see guys like Paul George after Game 1. I remember that clearly after Game 1 in his on-court interview. The first thing he says about Luka is that guy's the future, and so players recognize the talent that Luka is. I think that everyone's going to want to play with him. Then it's just going to be about, whether the Mavericks can afford it and things like that. You brought up Kristaps Porzingis. Whether people think he's going to be the long-term fit or not, the bottom line is he's locked in for 4 more years, and he's going to be here for 4 more years. They're not going to trade him or anything like that. And I think, when he is healthy, he is the perfect running mate with Luka. It just so happens to be that's a big, big if.
Agree. One of the things that I noticed about that Mavericks team is they're super young. So that said, what do you think you can see in the future, or what free agent potential you can see in the future next year, mind you, coming to this team that can help maybe put them over the top of a team like the Clippers and help them, eliminate that.
Well, the number number one thing that the Mavericks really need is they need a dog on this team. They need someone who you can't have Kristaps Porzingis, your superstar, going in to defend Luka Doncic in a scrum. You need guys like Patrick Beverley. Whether it be, even Marcus Morris, though, I personally think he crosses some lines there. But regardless, you need someone who's going to do that. That's not to say that the Mavericks don't have players who have a dog mentality. It's just they have a bunch of really nice guys on the team. That's kind of what it is, Dorian Finney-Smith is their best defender. He's one of the nicest guys that I know. Same thing with Seth Curry. And so, those kind of guys, you need a Patrick Beverley. You need someone that can get under the other team's skin, and who isn't going to cost you a ton if he gets bounced from a game or something like that.
So, who? Not to put you on the spot, I know it's a very big hypothetical, but who? If you had to pick, if you're the general manager of the Mavericks right now, you got to go get yourself a guy, whether that be a trade scenario, free agent. Who's the guy that you want to go get to fill that role for the Mavericks?
Well, for me, it's not. I haven't seen a lot of the free agency, the free agents. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But for me, there's always been one guy who I would love to see, and that would fit perfectly with what Luka and KP do. And if you can go trade for Bradley Beal, I think he's a good defender. He's not someone who he is really your perfect third superstar or third star on a championship team. I don't think. With whatever has been going on with John Wall and him as far as, just their tenure in Washington, not that there's any dysfunction or anything. I just think that there's a reason why that team has never been able to get over the hump. It's kind of like the Portland Trailblazers to some degree.
Yeah.
I love Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. I don't think that duo is ever going to be enough to win a championship. They need to add something. And C.J. McCollum, in specific, needs to be a number 3, not a number 2. And so I think if Bradley Beal is a guy who, Luka knows very well because he's done a pretty good job defending Luka and things like that. So if you're able to go get Bradley Beal, I think that would do wonders for this team.
So to follow up with that question, so I actually did a little research while you were answering that, so I apologize if I was looking away. But I kind of want your thoughts on this. So there's a guy that's out there that could be that dog, and he's a bigger dude, can help down low off the bench. His name is DeMarcus Cousins.
Ooh.
How would you feel about a player like that coming to the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and it's one that's popped up around here quite a bit over the last year, just in fan conversations and things like that. The issue there is as you would assume, it's the attitude, it's that kind of thing, and specifically with someone like head coach Rick Carlisle, who doesn't really tolerate a lot of the BS. I started covering this team when Rajon Rondo was traded here. I've seen the Nerlens Noels. I've seen these guys come and go. And Rick Carlisle doesn't really tolerate any kind of BS coming from his players. You have to be really locked in. You can't be a distraction. And one thing about this Mavericks team, and I would say with the exception of Rajon Rondo and whatever that mess was for 6 months, this team has always been extremely close-knit in the locker room. You go back to that 2016 year, I believe it was 2016 year when they had Zaza Pachulia.
Yep.
That year, that roster was very undermanned, and they still slipped into the number 18 in the West. That's been the hallmark of these Mavericks teams. They've been very close in the locker room. Dirk has been a really big part of that because everyone loves Dirk. But, even going forward, you look at this team now, even this year, they were all very close, very tight-knit in the locker room. And I don't know how much of that can be maintained if DeMarcus Cousins, goes 3 games getting 10 minutes each game. I don't know if he kind of, combusts at that point.
Fair. And to follow up, I actually do have one more guy I do want to talk to you about.
that is Yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of player that you really want, and especially with the, as we discussed earlier, the injury concerns with Porzingis. Serge Ibaka is a player who can play with KP if you need him to, if you want him to, because he has that power forward center flexibility. And if you're going for a stretch of in the season without KP, you have to adjust a little bit in how you're going to play, because Serge isn't going to pull up from 30 the way KP can. But at the same time, defensively, he does provide that rim protection and all those kind of things that the Mavericks were gravely missing in that Game 5 where they gave up 150 to the Clippers. So, those kind of things, he would be huge. Like you said, he doesn't have any off-court issues and things like that in the locker room. I think that would be a great pickup, especially because, he's
Well, just so you know, Mark Cuban know who I am, and maybe we can make it.
Let's see. Bruce, should we move on to the Cowboys?
Oh, I would love to. America's team.
Oh, Bruce, don't insult the Cowboys yet. I'm a Packers fan. I can do that because we've beaten them a lot of times. You can't insult the Cowboys.
That's fair.
So
I'm a Bears fan, so let's be honest. So you can insult me left and right.
Fair. So, moving to the Cowboys, what do you think is their outlook for this season? Some people are very high on them. Some people are a little bit lower on the Cowboys. I would probably be one of those people. I think their offense is amazing. Their defense has some question marks. So, Saad, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think when you look at the defense, and it's valid to have those concerns about the defense, and they just got rid of your guy, Clinton Dix. They do have some concerns there in the secondary specifically. Their starting safety duo is probably going to be Darian Thompson and Xavier Woods going into the season. Xavier Woods has been a little dinged up this week, but he should be fine and good to go. Now, here's the thing about the Cowboys defense, though. There's a lot of wild card potential here. Aldon Smith has looked really good in camp. Now, there's been no preseason. The Cowboys, the first time they ever tackle someone to the ground is going to be against the Los Angeles Rams in Week 1. So, when you talk about there's been no tackling, and you're talking about a guy that lives in the trenches and is a pass rusher, even though he's looked good, you have to have your reservations about how good is he when it's just shorts and T-shirt or just pads and you're not really tackling. So, but if Aldon Smith pans out, DeMarcus Lawrence is the guy that you expect him to be, and Jalen Smith is another guy who has been really who has opened a lot of eyes in camp. Now, if he can learn how to play linebacker in space, that'll be huge for the Cowboys. And so, all those things, you factor all these ifs in. I think the front eight can look pretty good for the Cowboys. The back end is going to be a big question mark. And what's going to be interesting there is I don't think it's going to take very long for these rookies that they got, whether it be Robertson or Diggs at corner. These guys are probably going to take over the starting spots on the outside pretty quick. And Trevon Diggs has looked pretty good in these practices. So even though you think that the defense is going to be really bad, and I don't blame you for that, just remember that I don't think it's going to be Cheeto Awuzie and those guys in the back end again the way that it was last year.
So the one thing I'm interested about is your thoughts on drafting CeeDee Lamb. Because the Cowboys already had two of the best receivers in that division. Thinking about it, probably the two best receivers in that division, in Cooper and Gallup. So why did they draft CeeDee Lamb? Was that more, what I've seen and what I've kind of thought is that was more so that the Eagles didn't get him. Was that really a need for the Cowboys, or is that more of a value pick? What was going on with that?
Jerry Jones.
Well, I wouldn't say that it was to keep him from the Eagles. I think that's a really positive byproduct of taking him. But but I don't think they went into that pick doing that. The bottom line is CeeDee Lamb is just he was a top 10 talent that fell to 17, and I think when you look at it and you had guys like Chase on and other guys in positions of need, it's how good is someone like Chase on and what kind of difference can he make versus CeeDee Lamb. So if you're just looking at the net difference, the net rating, is Chase on really going to be 4 to 5 points a game better than is he going to make you as a team 4 to 5 points better per game? I don't think that's the case, but I think CeeDee Lamb can add 4 or 5 points on average per game because he really is that good. And so I think it's also one of those things where, yes, the Cowboys were already strong offensively, but there's a couple of factors here, and there's a short-term factor and a long-term. The short-term thing is, look, we're going to try to put up 40, and we're going to try to win games 40 to 35. The other factor is that Amari Cooper just got a big contract, but Michael Gallup could be, hitting the market here in a couple. You might factor in all those things. CeeDee Lamb just made the most sense.
I love it. So Dak Prescott was, I believe, threw 30 touchdowns last year. What do you think about him this year? How do you think he feels? Like adding CeeDee Lamb to that front, do you think he'll maintain that same success, especially with the offseason that just occurred and the contract negotiations that kind of fell through? How do you feel about him approaching this next year?
I think he's going to be even better. I don't, Dak is a guy who has thrived on continuity and on the ability to kind of have the same core that he's had, and now he has Amari Cooper coming back, he has Gallup coming back, he has Zeke obviously coming back, and I think an X factor here, and I'm not saying this in a way that this guy could be the difference between the Cowboys making the Super Bowl or not. But I'm just saying for Dak Prescott's production, as the question that you framed, Blake Jarwin is going to be big because you have all the star power on the outside with the receivers and in the slot and whatever. A quarterback's best friend is always that big target down the seam in the middle. And actually, a couple of days ago on Sunday, when the Cowboys did have their little scrimmage or practice at AT&T Stadium. He hit Blake Jarwin down the seam for a touchdown. So, those things, I think, for Dak, Blake Jarwin's coming back. Blake Jarwin no longer has to look over his shoulder for a very old and slower Jason Witten. So I think you're going to see an unleashed version of Blake Jarwin. And I think Dak also is going to have a lot more flexibility in the offense that Mike McCarthy is going to bring, whereas Jason Garrett was a little bit more cookie cutter.
So now you're making me second guess who I picked up in fantasy football for my tight end. So I appreciate that.
Who'd you draft, Bruce?
Oh no, we'll go into that after. I don't
Okay.
But so we've asked everybody that has any kind of correlation with any NFL football franchise. So that being said, we have to ask, what are the predictions to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl and AFC in the Super Bowl?
Well, I hate to just kind of go with the status quo here for the AFC, but, as long as Pat Mahomes has a pulse, I don't understand how anyone can beat that team. It's going to be so difficult. I mean, Pat Mahomes, he's the best thing on this side of Aaron Rodgers, and, it's just, some of the stuff that I've seen from him, probably haven't seen even from Aaron Rodgers. And I think Aaron Rodgers is maybe, in my opinion, the most talented quarterback to ever exist. But the stuff that we're seeing from Mahomes is on a whole different level. So, I think the Chiefs are definitely going to be there from the AFC. Like I said, injuries aside, and I mean that, they could suffer all the injuries in the world. If Pat Mahomes is still there, I'm taking the Chiefs. And that has a lot to do with how good the Chiefs are, but also the AFC is a bit gutted. I don't think the AFC is as strong as the NFC is as a conference. On the NFC side, though, there's a lot more ifs and buts and a lot more ways that you can go. I think that, I'm of the camp that doesn't believe Tom Brady is washed. I do think he still has some stuff left in the tank.
Oh.
I think Brady. I think people forget that in the last week of the preseason last year, Brady lost his starting center to blood clots, and he didn't have a supporting cast. It was Antonio Brown here and there, and all kinds of things like that. I think Brady still has a good chunk left in the tank. You add Leonard Fournette, you have Godwin, you have Evans, you have Gronkowski, O.J. Howard. I mean, Bruce Arians. Now, the wild card here is going to be how Bruce Arians and Brady are compatible in scheme, because Brady, aside from 2-3 Randy Moss years, has been a very intermediate passer, and Bruce Arians likes to sling it down the field. So we'll see how that works out. That's a long way to say, for me, I think the Bucs, the Saints, basically the entire NFC West, the Packers, and the Cowboys, any of those teams I could see make it, but if I have to put my money on one, I'm probably going to roll with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow. I like it.
I do too. That's awesome. First person that said that, because
especially with Leonard Fournette. I think that takes them to a whole nother level. They get that power rusher that Brady has done very well with, that they didn't have up until that point. They can run 2 tight end sets with Gronk, O.J. Howard, and then have Leonard Fournette just slam it down their throats.
That's a scary team.
It's terrifying. And then they still have 3 other talented running backs behind Leonard Fournette. I love it. I like that pick.
There's only one football, though.
And offensive line holds up. They obviously invested a top 5 draft pick in the offensive line. We've seen this with Brady throughout his career. It's all good, whatever's out on the outside and in the backfield and stuff. If he's not protected, that thing ain't going anywhere. So I think that's a big thing. And like I said, I am interested to see how the Arians and Brady, how that dynamic is going to mesh. And then the defense has to hold up. I mean, It doesn't have to be great, but you got to hold up. So I think for me, there's a lot more variance there in the NFC. There's no reason why the San Francisco 49ers can't defend their NFC crown. That's fair. I think I personally, if I have to pick the second team behind the Buccaneers, for me, it's probably the Seattle Seahawks, because you add Jamal Adams. You already have Russell Wilson. You have these guys. I like the Seattle Seahawks a lot as well, and kind of in the same way as Pat Mahomes in the AFC. For me, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a chance. And so the Packers, I kind of put that in the same breath as well.
So I would be remorse if I didn't ask this question. What are the thoughts about our beloved Chicago Bears down there in Dallas?
To be honest, I don't know that they're relevant enough for Dallas to have thoughts on
this.
But when it's always going to be a thing where you were in the Mahomes draft, you took Mitch Trubisky, and now you're taking and now you're taking a journeyman guy in Nick Foles, who no doubt had a really, really hot playoff run. But if you're looking for him to sustain you through a full regular season, that's going to be tough. And so the fact that if Nick Foles is giving your starting quarterback a run for the money, that tells you where your franchise is.
I agree 100%. So my nickname, and feel free to use this if you want to, I call him Nick Foles Gold.
That's a good one, and he showed up at the right time for the right season, for the right team, right situation, all that stuff. I don't think. Yeah, I think Nick Foles is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL, and I truly believe that. And I think that's kind of where he belongs. He's a great guy for you to come in 4 games. He's not going to let the ship sink. But you don't want him to be the captain of the ship. That's the only thing.
I agree. So my thought process behind this quarterback competition that we have up here in Chicago is I always thought Trubisky gives you the most opportunity for bang or bust, um, whereas I call him Truth Bisky and Fool's Gold, whereas Fool's Gold gives you just a consistent game manager, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, after seeing him play, and look, I like the guy. Like I wish that he would play better, but I don't think he's had. I don't want to say he's had a ton of weapons around him throughout his career, but he's had enough to do more than he's done, and it's really difficult when you have that situation and you look around the division. He's by far the weakest quarterback in that division from Rodgers, Stafford when he's healthy, which aside from last year he stayed pretty healthy, and Kirk Cousins. I think Trubisky really is the weakest link in that division, and it's a quarterback driven league.
100%.
So the last question I have is: you said Bucks and Chiefs as your two picks. Who wins the Super Bowl?
That's a good question, and I sure hope we get to a Super Bowl and all that stuff throughout the season. But if we do get to that point and that happens, man, I don't know. I'm really not like a Patrick Mahomes like fanboy or diehard or anything like that. But it's just so hard to pick against this guy. It's crazy how good he is. I think I would have to still go with Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. Now, again, health of the roster is so crucial there, because when you're talking about getting out of that division or getting out of a conference, I think Pat Mahomes can do it. When you talk about going up against Tom Brady and talk about going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a whole, if there's no Tyreek Hill, for example, I probably take the Patriots the Bucks. And so I think that's a situation where the whole roster comes into account a lot more. But I think Patrick Mahomes is the real deal, and I think he's good enough to repeat as Super Bowl champion.
I sure hope he's the real deal. He got $425 million. So he better, for the sake of Kansas City, he better be the real deal.
I think he is. You look at the talent, you look at all that. I covered him quite a bit, actually, when he was at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And so I've seen him up close in college. You always knew that he was going to be this good. No, I don't want to say that. You never think you never really think a guy is going to turn into the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's on that trajectory. So yeah. I want to be careful when I say that he's on the trajectory, but he's just such an extraordinary talent that no matter at what level he was slinging the football, you could just tell that he was going to be something special.
For sure. Well, Bruce, is that all we got for Saad?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. It was much appreciated. Your time was awesome, and it was great to let everyone know my fanboy crush on Luka Doncic, and to hear about how the Cowboys, I guess, are still somewhat America's team.
Bruce doesn't want to admit it, but it's true.
Unfortunately, no matter what, it is true. Whether you look at the worth of the franchise, the ratings that get pulled in, no matter what. Trust me, it's as maddening to me as it is to you. I don't quite understand it, but it is just the bottom line truth. I think one of the most alarming things that when it really drove home to me was a couple of years ago when they played the Rams in the playoffs, and the game was in Los Angeles, and that place was so loud for the Cowboys.
Yep.
I could not believe it. And so, I think unless you're a flagship organization, whether you're, the Patriots back with Brady, whether you're the Packers or someone like that, that's pretty much the only time where you get canceled out, and the Cowboys factor doesn't exist that much. But for 90% of the fan bases, the Cowboys still are just, they reign supreme.
Well, thank you so much again. Next time you're in Chicago, let me know. So if you play golf, I always play golf. So please, I'll treat you to a game.
Bruce just wants people to play golf with, man.
No, for sure. I'll definitely take you up on that.
Awesome.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Sweet. Let me change back. There we go.
Awesome.
We love some talk about America's team, don't we, Bruce?
You know damn well neither one of us like to talk about America's team.
No, I like talking about them because I know in the back of my head we always beat them, so I don't care.
God. Actually, the last time the Bears played them, I think the Bears did beat them.
Well, I'm proud of you, Bruce. There's a first time for everything.
Let's go. But, no, honestly, great. By the way, great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. Articulated his points very well. So it was so much fun talking with him and hearing his points on the Mavericks and on the Cowboys. But I find it interesting though the fact that like he picked the Buccaneers to be the
That's bold
for the NFC.
That's bold, but I like it. Honestly, with Leonard Fournette and especially with Alvin Kamara wanting out of the Saints wanting Alvin Kamara out of New Orleans.
He's coming to the Bears, you know that, right?
Bruce, you wouldn't sign Cam Newton to a minimum deal. You're not going after Alvin Kamara.
Hey, they got Khalil Mack.
Okay.
You know, okay, so one of the things you notice, the Bears have always had like a freaking solid defense. Could you imagine if the Packers had the Bears defense?
Exactly. No, I wrote an article about this a while ago, how the Bears don't need a good quarterback to win. They really don't, because if you look at...
You need a mediocre average quarterback. But you know what, though?
Right.
Here's the thing, and we just talked about that earlier. I am so sick and tired of having a mediocre average quarterback.
Right, but the thing is, and they always say defense wins championships, but it really is true, because if you look at, I want to say it was like the top 20 defensive seasons ever. 15 of those 20 won a Super Bowl.
5 of those 20, one of them was the Chicago Bears back in 2018.
Yeah, they did not.
Yeah, because Cody Parkey had to... Cody Parkey.
Doop-doop.
Like, but and that's another X on freaking Ryan Pace. All right, we can go on this like multiple times, but
yeah.
we'll just stop.
Anyway. We'll stop for the night.
MJ.
Another successful show, Coach Bruce.
Sir, it was a great show. Guys, thank you all for watching. Much appreciated as always.
Absolutely. T-shirts coming soon. More trouble coming soon. I have a little idea for our show next week, so we have to talk about that. But yeah, it might be fun.
That in the biz is called a preview.
Ooh, little teaser.
Little teaser action.
Well, thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.